الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيد Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, there have been some questions about how to recite Surat Al-Baqarah, where to recite it and when to do so. How many times do you read it? Whether it should be read out loud or otherwise, and what are the results? How long does it take for you to see the results? The Prophet peace upon him said, اقرأوا سورة البقرة فإن أخذها بركة وتركها حسرة ولا تستطيعها البطلة. Recite Surat Al-Baqarah, for taking it is a blessing, leaving it is a cause of regret, and magicians cannot withstand it. The term magicians here refers to the sorcerers. Here I'm not speaking from books. Everything I say is what I lived, it's from my life, what your brother Abu Ahmed Muhammad Hijazi lived and experienced. I have personally recited Surah Al-Baqarah approximately, and Allah knows best, around 1,700 times. This does not mean that I don't read anything else. I also make istighfar every day. Istighfar is basically seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sins that I commit. And now I've reached 12,953 istighfar as of now, and I already recited Surah Al-Baqarah, and I will continue with reading Surah Taha inshallah. So how should we recite Surah Al-Baqarah? Where should we read it? And how many times do we have to read it? All of these I will be explaining inshallah, but everything requires patience. We must understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us and puts us into trials because of our own mistakes, because of the many sins that we commit. We have went astray, we drifted left and right, and we attributed the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to others instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's as if we believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has abandoned us in a jungle, saying, do as you please, and as if, and God forbid, He is not there and that He is just waiting for us on the day of judgment. This is especially true in our current times. We act as if we can do whatever we want. We can acquire wealth by any means, whether it's halal or haram. We can backbite, we can shed blood, we can commit whatever we desire, as if we think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not looking at us with mercy, that He has left us to our own selves. But this is a great lie against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is indeed the most merciful towards us, but we reject His mercy and we don't want it. And you can ask, how can we not want it when we hope for His mercy? But my brother and sister, when we deviate and when we don't listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to do, He told us to do this and that, so why don't we do it and save ourselves? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Taha, Taha, ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى. Taha, we have not sent down the Quran upon you to cause you distress. We are here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why He created us. We must understand why we face what we do, whether it's the black magic, the evil eye, envy, hardship in life, any pain, sickness, diseases. There's a reason why we face it, and we have to know why it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ما يفعل الله بعذابكم إن شكرتم وآمنتم. What would Allah do with your punishment if you are grateful and believe? So we must fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we must adhere to His commands. We have to know Him and worship Him, and we have to worship Him the way He wants us to worship Him. It's not just to say you know Him or you know His commands, but you have to actually know Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا خَلَقْتَ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created the jinn and the mankind except to worship me. So we should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as though we see Him, and we should also love Him, not just fear Him, we should also love Him. The problem here is that people no longer know how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they take a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and they commit shirk left and right. Shirk is basically associating parties with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and people think that shirk is just believing in the Trinity, but no. But also attributing the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you to someone else or to yourself is shirk. So now they ignore His commands, they consume what's haram, they engage in usury, and all these acts distance you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of this befalls us because we have strayed from obeying Allah, attributed blessings to others instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we worship Allah in our own way, not as what He wants, but we do it in the way we want. But that's not how it is. Because if we do it that way, then our worship is incomplete. I want to go over a few details and then return back to this in more details, because some people are impatient and want an immediate answer. They're like, give me an answer so I can move forward. But how can you move forward without understanding the problem? You must understand the problem here. Your problem is that Allah has tested you. You are unhappy. You're not content because you did not please the one who created you. ما يفعل الله بعذابكم إن شكرتم وآمنتم. What would Allah do with your punishment if you are grateful and believe? كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم وهم يستغفرون. But Allah would not punish them while you, O Prophet, are amongst them, and Allah would not punish them while they seek forgiveness. وَلَنْ اسْتَقَامُوا عَلَى الطَّرِيقَ لَأَسْقَيْنَاهُمْ مَاءً غَدَقًا. And if they had remained on the right path, we would have given them abundant rain. And here I'm speaking from my own life experience with Surat Al-Baqarah, with seeking forgiveness, with Salat ala Rasulullah, which is sending peace and blessings upon the Prophet, peace upon him. The Prophet, peace upon him, said, بَلَّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, convey from me, even if it's one verse. And so I'm conveying this verse, inshallah. The verse of Surat Al-Baqarah. Okay, now, should we recite Surat Al-Baqarah as a form of ruqyah? Ruqya refers to the practice of using specific supplications, verses from the Quran or the prophetic hadith to seek protection, healing, and relief from any harm or illness. So you are basically protecting oneself from evil, jealousy, and negative influences, any physical or physiological ailments, or to remove any jinn or black magic that is in your body. People face trials differently. Some are afflicted with black magic, some aren't afflicted with black magic, but they have problems with their sustenance. Some experience heaviness in their worship, numbness, some get seizures, and others just have spiritual problems. And some, they have money and children. They have basically everything they need, but they lack peace of mind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed life, and we will gather him on the day of resurrection blind. When you deviate from Allah's commands, it is Allah's right to afflict you with tests, so that you may come to him and get to know him, and then he will open his doors for you. He will open the doors wide open for you. وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُمْ مِنْ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ عَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. And we will surely make them taste the nearer punishment before the greater punishment, that perhaps they will return to righteousness. As I said, we are all tested differently, and here I'm addressing everyone. Everyone can do this. They should take Surat Al-Baqarah as ruqyah. Remember, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And those who strive in us, we will surely guide them to our ways. And so in the beginning, you might have to work hard to get rid of these problems that you're facing. You might feel a little drowsy, you might yawn, you might become tired, you might even experience chest or shoulder pain, you might even fall asleep, or you'll just feel like you're unable to continue. In the beginning, you're just going to have to strive a little bit harder, and then inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. But before you start with Surah Al-Baqarah, you must start with Adhkar. Adhkar is basically various supplications and remembrance that we recite to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking His blessings, protection, and His guidance. There is the morning and evening Adhkar, there is also the Adhkar after prayer, and there is Adhkar throughout the day, basically remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout your whole day. What does these adhkar or fortifications do for you? They are basically a shield for yourself. When you read Surah Al-Baqarah, you are fighting the shaitan. You're fighting Satan, the demon, the devil. And they start to burn as you read Surah Al-Baqarah. But if you have the adhkar, if you have already recited your morning adhkar in the morning or the evening adhkar in the evening, then you won't feel any pain. However, if you did not make your adhkar, you just immediately went on with Surah Al-Baqarah, then you might feel pain, because as a shaitan is burning, they will make you feel pain so that you will suffer. But now that you have your adhkar, you won't feel any pain, and it will be easier for you, inshallah. So it will allow you to take Surah Al-Baqarah properly, and you will be able to remain in control of the situation. You have to remember, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Indeed, Satan is an enemy to you, so take him as an enemy. We must not forget that we are in a war with the shaitan, with Satan. So we're going to stick with Surah Al-Baqarah every day until we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we must remain cautious of this enemy in our eating, in our drinking, in our sleeping. And that is why whenever you enter the house, you say Bismillah, in the name of Allah. And when you remove your clothes, you say Bismillah alladhi la ilaha illa hu, in the name of Allah, who there is no God but Him. And during intimacy, you say Allahumma jannibna shaytan wa jannib shaytana ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, keep Satan away from us, and keep Satan away from what you have provided for us. And when you enter the bathroom, you enter with your left foot and say A'udhu billahi min al-khabthi wal khaba'ith. I seek refuge in Allah from the evil of the female and male devils. When you leave your house, you say Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. In the name of Allah, I rely upon Allah and there is no power or strength except with Allah. And then shaitan leaves you. And so you will always make these adhkar throughout your day so that the shaitan doesn't come near you, bidnillah ta'ala. And during bedtime, there are also supplications that we must recite. Put both of your hands together, kind of like when you're making a dua, and bring it closer to your mouth, and then recite Surat Al-Ikhlas, Surat Al-Falaq, and Surat Al-Nas. And then blow on your hands 3 times like this. After that, wipe all over your body. And so you do that once, and then repeat the same process again, and then repeat this process again. And so you're basically doing it 3 times. These bedtime supplications are different from the evening supplications, the evening adhkar. Another thing you can do is have zayt maqru'. Zayt is oil and maqru' is read upon. And so you would have olive oil with you, and then you would read Surat Al-Baqarah, perhaps various different du'as as well on that oil. And then you anoint yourself, anoint your body with it before sleeping.
طريقة القراءة يا جماعة أن الإنسان يقرب فمه عند الذي سيقرأ فيه. مثلا الزيت يبدأ مثلا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
What is Surat Al-Baqarah? Surat Al-Baqarah isn't just a means of getting rid of the devil or Satan. It actually also gives you goodness by Allah's will and blessings, prosperity, success in this world and the hereafter. Without Surat Al-Baqarah, you are basically lost. You may think you are in the right path, but you are being delusional here. For example, you might open a business and you want to invest in it, thinking you are going to bring millions. And so you'd invest and you would get perhaps loans, or maybe you have some savings accumulated, but after a year or 2, you'll find that you have lost everything. However, with Surat Al-Baqarah, bi'idhnillah, this does not happen. With Surat Al-Baqarah, you won't enter into any unsuccessful venture. You won't engage in a failed marriage. You just basically won't do anything that is bound to fail. And that is why banning it causes regret. That is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that Surat Al-Baqarah brings blessings, meaning everything grows and increases. When you read Surat Al-Baqarah, every goodness increases for you and evil is cut off. Your thoughts become clear and you have wisdom now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond to your supplications over time, and you will never have any negative thoughts, because the shaitan ya'idukum al-faqr. Satan promises poverty, and that will end. You will never be worried about your sustenance. You are with the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times. Allah will bring you either this good or that good. There's no evil in between. And you would do absolutely nothing. It will just come to you and like, do you want chicken or meat? It's like that. Not like before when your options were chicken or pork. May Allah protect us from that. So you are between good and good. There's no evil. The evil does not affect you once you start reading Surat Al-Baqarah bi'idhnillah. We need to understand these matters. We need to understand why we need Surat Al-Baqarah. We need to know if we're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way He wants us to worship Him. Am I in the straight path of Allah? And Surat Al-Baqarah will also intercede for you in the Day of Judgment, a win-win situation. So how should we read Surat Al-Baqarah and how many times? We should read Surat Al-Baqarah inside the house once a day out loud from the Mus'haf, the physical Quran, the book. Emphasis on the Mus'haf, not the phone, but the Mus'haf. As one of the brothers described, Surat Al-Baqarah is kind of like an X-ray. It examines the body for spiritual and physical ailments, heals them, and gives you all of the good. It identifies deficiencies and increases in you, making you a balanced person in everything, guiding you by Allah's will to safety and satisfaction. And here, a lot of people claim to have rida. Rida as in contentment and satisfaction. They claim to have it. But that is just a phrase that one can say, and they don't really know the meaning of it. And you will only know the meaning of it when you live it. You might have something that you want now that you can absolutely not reach, and Allah subhanahu planted it in your heart as a form of punishment. For example, the person that has 1 car and wants 10 cars. The person that has 1 wife but wants 10 wives. The person that have 10 dirhams of land and wants 200 dirhams of land. These are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew it won't happen, but He planted it in your heart so that you will return to Him. And then He will remove it from your heart and you will become someone that does not really desire these things anymore. It doesn't really become from your priorities. How do we read Surah Al-Baqarah as a ruqya? We have to read it as a ruqya to remove Satan from our bodies and to protect ourselves, and then later on we're going to have it as our daily recitation. And this is for everyone. Everyone should do this. Now, inshallah, I will explain its virtue and then we'll talk about how to read it. Bidnillah. The Prophet peace upon him said, اقرأوا سورة البقرة فإن أخذها بركة وتركها حسرة ولا تستطيعها البطلة. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah, for taking it is a blessing, leaving it is a cause of regret. The magicians cannot withstand it. Underline regret here. You will fall under huge regret from everything and anything. The magicians can't withstand it. Here it means that sorcerers cannot make black magic now that you have Surah Al-Baqarah as a daily recitation. But what's important to keep in mind is that whatever black magic you already had in your body, you have to get rid of that. But from now on, now that you have Surah Al-Baqarah with you daily, the magicians won't be able to reach you bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Surah Al-Baqarah is your guiding intellect. It's your GPS. It leads you to the right path. Not what you think is right. It's goodness, it's blessing, it's success, it's prosperity. And I'm telling you this from my own personal experience, not just words from books. And this is the most important thing that you should know. Whoever recites Surah Al-Baqarah will never go astray. You will enjoy all goodness with Surah Al-Baqarah bi'idhnillah ta'ala. You will not regret anything with Surah Al-Baqarah. This is by Allah a sign that I lived, and those who have lived by it also experienced it. However, some brothers still have black magic that they need to work on getting rid of first. So the first thing you need to have is the ma maqru or the zayt maqru. Ma is the water, zayt oil, and maqru red upon. So you basically have the water with you or the oil with you, and you recite upon it Surah Al-Baqarah, the ma'awidat, the dhikr, the daily remembrance. You will have a bottle with you, and the most important thing is to have the intention. So intention here is to nullify the black magic, the evil eye, the envy, any jinn possessions, and to seek healing from all diseases. And you can even add on top of that anything else, like to draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So have the cup of water with you and then start reciting like this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. And then you blow on the water like this 3 times, and then you continue and you do the next page, and then you blow again like this, and then you keep on going on like that until you are done with Surah Al-Baqarah. You can also add other surahs like Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Nas, Surah Al-Fatiha, or any dua. You're here actually blowing mist, not saliva, but mist like this. But to do this, you have to be in a state of ablution, wudu, and you have to already have done the morning and evening ithkar. And remember that in the beginning, you're gonna have to strive hard. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways. What I do is I read Surah Al-Baqarah 4 times a day. You can do that. You can read it 4 times a day until you get rid of the shaitan from your body. Some sisters or brothers can say that it's tiring, and that is true. But that is what it's gonna take. Don't you want the right path? In the beginning, you might gonna have to work extra hard, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to know our sincerity. Imagine there's a steel door in front of you, and they tell you behind this door there is paradise. Are you gonna just look at the door and be like, if only it opens? Or aren't you gonna knock the door down or break it until you'll be able to enter it? I'm sure you're gonna be doing anything so that you can enter, so that you can cross and go to paradise. Similarly here, you're going to have to work. Okay, to repeat, you have to be in ablution, you have to make your morning and evening adhkar, and these adhkar that we're talking about here is as follows. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. You recite this 100 times, and this will be a good shield for you بإذن الله against any devils. Then you recite أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق 300 times. And this is, as I said, from my experience. I lived this, and when I used to read it 3 times, I felt nothing. The shaitan seems to retreat. Then recite Ayatul Kursi 10 times, 30 times, 20 times, the more the better. And if you have oil with you, then it will be good to blow I mean, since you're reading it, right? So now that we did our adhkar, we're going to start with Surat Al-Baqarah. Where do we read Surat Al-Baqarah? How should we read Surat Al-Baqarah? You have to read Surat Al-Baqarah with the intention, and you have to read it inside your house. I have this window, and if I keep it opened, I'm considered outside. And I would not be following the correct hadith of the Prophet peace be upon him when he said, recite Surah Al-Baqarah, for the devil does not enter a house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. And so when you have the window opened, you're outside. And this is something I tried. I kept the window opened for 3 days, and then the devil entered within the third day. So make sure that you are in the house and you're reading from the Mus'haf, not the phone. My wife tried using the phone and it did not work. You cannot have it divided either, like half in the house, half in the work, or some of it in the car. You have to have one full time in the house from the Mus'haf with a voice that you can hear. If you do it otherwise, then you're still going to get the ajr, inshallah. You're going to get the reward for reading Surah Al-Baqarah, but it won't be effective to get rid of the shaitan, to get rid of Satan, because you must clean the house out of Satan, and also where you sleep, you have to clean it. And for those who find it difficult, try to put in effort. Try, for example, on a day where you know no one is going to bother you at that time. For example, if you're a wife and then you can do it when your husband is at work and when your children are at school. So you can do it at the day. Leave the cleaning and mopping just for one day and see how it feels, so that maybe you'll know that you'll be able to continue. Even if you're someone that reads it in a broken manner, like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif, Lam, Mim. Even if you stumble when you're reading, it's okay. The effect is still the same. You can even record it. You can have the intention when recording it. The intention here would be nullifying any magic, the evil eye, envy, and that will inshallah be removed. Of course, we don't want to teach people that they can stumble, but this is something that you do for yourself as a part of ruqyah. So record it on your phone, listen to it, and those who know how to read should read it and use it as ruqyah. I have personally recorded it several times. I would record, listen to it, adjust my voice, and learn how to read. So read Surah Al-Baqarah with the intention of nullifying magic or evil eye or envy inside the house from the Mus'haf with a voice that you can hear. In the beginning, it might be difficult. You might have problems with your throat. You might have dryness. So do keep a glass of water with you. Anything to moisten your throat, because dryness can occur and the shaitan wants to prevent you from continuing. And so that's why you might feel heaviness or numbness. But with dhikr, all of the bad things that could occur will become much easier. Okay, so now we read Surah Al-Baqarah and we have Ma Muqra and Zayd Muqra, which is basically where we said we would read a page and then blow 3 times like this, with the intention to nullify black magic, evil eye, and for healing from any disease and expelling Satan. And you can make whatever intentions you want as well. Now this water that you have, you can put it in a spray bottle and then spray the corners of the house, the roof corners, because those corners are where the shaitan stays. And make sure to spray the 4 corners of the house, like your bedroom. You can also clean the floor using it. Make sure not to put the water or the oil in the drain because that's haram. You can use the water to bathe as well. You can spray the children's room. Be careful with electrical devices and just any dangerous places where you should not put water there. You can also drink from that water, and before sleeping, take a little bit of that oil and anoint yourself. For me, I can't sleep without the oil. And it's not because I believe the oil has something special that the oil makes me sleep, but فَاتَّبَعَ سَبَبًا translates to then follow a means. And the Prophet peace upon him recommended eating oil and using it for anointing, and it's better than any type of cream you can buy. So as summary, before sleeping you have dhikr, recite Surah Al-Ikhlas, Falaq al-Nas, and blow in your hands 3 times as we said. Then recite Ayat al-Kursi, and you can also recite the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. As you go on, you will learn more things. The Prophet peace upon him said, whoever recites the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah in the night, it will suffice for them. When you enter the house, enter with your right foot and say Assalamu alaikum. When you leave the house, say Bismillah tawakkaltu Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. In the name of Allah, I rely on Allah, and there is no power or strength except through Allah. Now you will inshallah be protected and the devil will not bother you. Remember, we are with a constant war with the shaitan, and this is the method of reading Surat Al-Baqarah for those who have black magic or difficulty in reading it. Strive against ourselves, otherwise we will end up with physical illnesses. Life will be full of trouble because the devil is present with you. The devil will be stirring up the atmosphere. The rope of salvation is in Surat Al-Baqarah. When you fortify yourself and when you are making dhikr, you're basically destroying them. Now your body is protected by dhikr. You should always be in a state of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and alhamdulillah, we're always in remembrance. I always do morning and evening adhkar, and I read Surah Al-Mulk, Surah Taha, and Surah Al-Baqarah every day, and I send peace and blessings upon the Prophet, peace be upon him. Sometimes I do large supplications, sometimes I try to reach 300 prayers a day in the form of Allahumma salli wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad. And istighfar, seeking forgiveness, I reached 12,000, 15,000, 20,000. It's also because I have these lessons to make, which each lesson is about an hour, and that's like 4,000 to 5,000 istighfar that I could have done. Now I'll be talking about a ruqya experience that I had in the past. This ruqya was lengthy. We used to listen to the Quran. A sheikh would recite the ruqya on Zoom while we sat and listened for long hours, and I'm talking 4, 5, 6 hours, and this is to understand the difficulty involved. This is why I tell you to strive. Once we were done listening to the Quran, he will tell you to close your eyes, and you might at this point see snakes or lizards or rats. We would be awake, but our eyes closed. So we would sit listening to the ruqya through the phone, and again he would say you might see snakes, scorpions, or dogs, or even see the person that made the black magic, or even the place of the black magic. And amongst us, there would be some people that actually do see those things. And one of his sons, he used to play games for years non-stop. And after I sprayed his room with ma' muqra, he stopped completely. And one of my acquaintances, when we sprayed his house with the water, Allah opened the doors for him and he married quickly. The reason why I tell you this is so that you know how the devil acts with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the devil cannot do anything except with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now the question here is, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permit it? That is because we are neglectant, and he is trying to show us this hidden world that is affecting us. And if this is what is happening right now, imagine if we die upon this misguided path. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to worship him, not to make money. And this worship that we're talking about is beautiful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you ease in this world and then in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَا يَفْعَلُ اللَّهُ بِعَذَابِكُمْ إِن شَكَرْتُمْ وَآمَنْتُمْ. What will Allah do with your punishment if you are grateful and you believe? عمل عملا صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Whoever does righteous deeds, whether male or female, while being a believer, we will surely grant him a good life. But we are neglectant and we don't want it. We want it in our own way. For example, you want a car and you end up getting an interest loan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu attaqullah wa dharu ma baqiya min riba in kuntum mu'minin, falam taf'alu fa'adhanu biharbi min Allahi wa rasulih. O you who have believed, fear Allah and give up what remains due to you of interest if you should be believers. And if you do not, then be informed of a war against you from Allah and His Messenger. So we must fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it is Allah who will fight us if we take interest-based loans. We must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To sum up very quickly, read Surat Al-Baqarah with the intention, and while you are in a state of wudu, ablution, I will be putting a list of what you should do, and so that you can just take a screenshot and have it with you. So again, be in a state of wudu, recite the morning and evening adhkar, recite لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير 100 times. Recite أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق 300 times. Recite Ayatul Kursi 15 times, 20 times, the more the better. And then when you start to Surah Al-Baqarah, have the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove this black magic or this evil eye that you have. Make sure to read it inside your house with the voice that you can hear and from the Mus'haf. You may need to exert a little bit of effort in the beginning. Maybe you'll feel any sort of dryness or difficulties, so keep in mind that. You can also have ma' muqra and زيت مقروء, and you blow on it page by page. After that, after you do one page, you blow 3 times. You can either do it together, like you read a page and then you blow on the water and then the oil, or the first day you do it on the water and then the second day you do it on the oil. And when you sleep, you apply a little bit of oil on the areas where you feel heaviness or discomfort. So you continue like this, and you can even later on put in the comment section what you realize, the differences before and after, and I will also be responding to various questions and concerns, inshallah. You will not know the good from the bad except through Surat Al-Baqarah, inshallah, because it contains immense goodness. You would be living a life where you don't need anything from anyone, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with everything, and all of this goodness comes just from Him. The shaitan could whisper to you and be like, what about that person or that person? But inshallah, all of those thoughts will vanish. The Prophet, peace upon him, said, لو أنكم تتوكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كيف يرزق الطير تغدو خماصا وتروح بطنا. If you were to rely on Allah with the reliance He is due, He will provide for you as He provides for the bird. They go out in the morning with empty stomachs and return full. Allah will open, inshallah, opportunities for you, and those whispers of Satan that tells you, what about tomorrow? Well, you will stop worrying about tomorrow, because now you're in a good state. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking care of you. You are now relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't forget, you have to always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you cannot not pray and then turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You must pray on time and complete your prayer as Allah loves you to do so. Guard your tongue, your eyes, avoid backbiting, gossip, any type of sin, and increase in seeking forgiveness, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish those who seek forgiveness. Once you're done reciting Surat Al-Baqarah, start with istighfar. Start with seeking forgiveness. If something concerns you, increase salutation upon the Prophet, peace be upon him, because the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, إذا تكفى همك ويغفر ذنبك. Then your worries will be taken care of and your sins will be forgiven. So between sending salutations upon the Prophet, peace upon him, reading Surat Al-Baqarah, and seeking forgiveness, you will be like a king, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open all goodness for you. But do leave backbiting, gossip, evil suspicions of others. Do not slander, do not wrong others, and do not consume other people's rights. Fear Allah, pray on time, remember Allah. Lengthen your prostration, for example, if you're praying night prayer. May Allah open the way for you. The most important thing is to be steadfast. وَإِنِ اسْتَقَامُوا عَلَى الطَّرِيقَ لَأَسْقَيْنَاهُمْ مَاءً غَدَقًا. And if they had remained steadfast on the right way, we would have given them abundant rain. By Allah, if we remain steadfast on the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will open the way for us. ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض. If only the people of the towns had believed and feared Allah, we would have opened for them blessings from the heavens and the earth. You see, Allah created these treasures for you. But you turn away and seek usury from the bank, and you envy your neighbor. But the provision Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote for you, wrote it when you were in your mother's womb. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. He will take care of you. Your money is not with your brother or father or neighbor. But we do not understand this, and then we continue to envy others and plot against each other. So we must repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We turn to Allah with all of ourselves, and we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He pleases and not as we please. When we live by this verse, we will see the effects of Surat Al-Baqarah. We will move from knowledge to certainty. We will see it move matters around us, expelling devils from our lives, removing corrupt people, purifying the land around us, and granting us great goodness bi'idhnillah ta'ala. You will move from knowledge to certainty. You will see it with your eyes. You will go from hearing it to seeing it. So this is how we read Surat Al-Baqarah, and we must remain persistent, not once or twice, but many times. And you can observe yourself. What are the changes that happened after you started taking it 4 times? Perhaps you started sleeping now more comfortably. If you're able to read it once a day, then take it twice a day. If you're still capable, take it 3 times a day. Perhaps more, 4 times a day, until inshallah you will get rid of the devil that's bothering you. You will begin to live a life where you are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of course, all of this happens gradually, not in one day. Gradually, you will find yourself absent from the places where you need to lower your gaze. So you won't even need to worry about that anymore. You will no longer have the desire to go to these places of immorality. Your thoughts will change, inshallah, with Surat Al-Baqarah. You have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you in everything that you do. Every single time, check, is this good? Is this what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do? Is this a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see me? Or is this a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to see me here? So to conclude, bi'idhnillah, you will go from knowledge to certainty. And this is even something that the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, asked about. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
إذ قال إبراهيم رب أرني كيف تحيي الموتى قال أولم تؤمن قال بلى ولكن ليطمئن قلبي قال فخذ 4 من الطير فصرهن إليك ثم اجعل على كل جبل منهن جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا واعلم أن الله عزيز حكيم.
والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.